Let's hear what the candidates think about reparations and the wealth gap.
On Juneteenth of this year, the New Jersey Reparations Council, which I'm co-chair, will release its report about New Jersey's often overlooked history of slavery and structural racism that has followed for generations. This, of course, is the story of a group of people who were not, in fact, immigrants. This shows up today in our state with some of the country's worst racial disparities, like our staggering $640,000 wealth gap between Black as well as Latino families compared to white families, as described in the Institute's latest report, The Two New Jerseys, A Deepening Divide. Threats to federal funding and the evisceration of federal workers has had a disproportionate impact on people of color in civil service, and threats to make this gap even wider. If elected governor, what priority will you give to closing the racial wealth gap? And how specifically will you do that through policy and investments?
First up, John Bramnick.
By creating opportunity in this state and doing it fairly and making sure that we encourage diversity, I believe that this state can flourish. Creating opportunities for all is going to be my platform by bringing in new business, helping the urban centers. I was an urban councilman in Plainfield for 6.5 years. I think that the most important thing is to open your heart, understand the dilemma that many of brown and Black individuals suffer, and try to create that opportunity. I will follow the model that Governor Tom Kean set in the 80s. At that point in time, we cherished our urban centers.
Sean Spiller.
Listen, when we talk about disparity, we've got to talk about systems. Say, oh, we've got to help our small businesses. Okay, but we've actually got to help our African American, our minority, our women-owned businesses, because right now the criteria that we use excludes them from being able to participate. So if we just put more money into a system, we're only helping some, and we're not helping with the disparity that we're talking about. When you want to talk about trying to help people buy more homes, that's great, we need more loan opportunities. But when you talk about banks that discriminate against folks and certainly charge a higher rate for people of color and eating up their wealth and inability to gain that over time, that matters. If we don't change that system, plugging more money in doesn't solve the problem. If we don't address an issue around like incarceration, right, school to prison pipelines that disproportionately, again, put people of color behind bars, limiting their ability to earn generational wealth, we're not addressing the system, we're not solving the issue. We've got to look at the very systems that are in place working exactly as they are intended that constantly keep these gaps worse and worse and worse.
Stephen Zielinski.
So when I look at some of the problems that we have in the state of New Jersey, and then I look at the solutions, those solutions have to solve 3 or 4 different areas. So again, one of the things I brought up is our electric prices going up. I'm looking to add 100,000 new jobs into the state of New Jersey between agriculture, manufacturing, installation over the next few years. Getting these people trained with certification of installation of these products. Jersey has 50 food deserts throughout the state. My goal is to create small businesses with those people who are living in those neighborhoods and actually create food for them in urban agriculture 365 days a year.
Stephen Fulop.
I'll start by saying I want to build on something that Mayor Spiller said. I think he gave an excellent answer, actually, talking about some of the challenges here in New Jersey. The reality of the situation is that I think over the last 8 years, there's been a missed opportunity with regards to the segregation conversation in schools and the segregation conversation in housing. You need to think about people having opportunities, and housing is at the forefront of that. How do we build more housing? And we have a very aggressive plan that more than doubles the housing production. And the second part is around school access. How do we build more schools that reflect the state that we live in? We know that the set-asides today are not working and the procurement process isn't working. And I think the governor needs to show some leadership in how they ultimately push municipalities and the state to get more bids for minorities, have some flexibility around the bids in order to create more opportunities for minority communities, and ultimately encourage people with more business and financial opportunities to bridge the gap that exists today.
Raz Baraka.
The problem with Democrats is that we talk about equity and we do not include race. I cut a ribbon for an African-American man, a young man who was leasing his store, who now owns his store and built units of affordable housing above it in the city of Newark. The last 4 years, we've invested $200 million in Black, brown, and women businesses in the city of Newark, which is more than what the county of Essex has done. A public bank that is not a commercial bank, but an investment bank that invests in Black and brown and women businesses in these communities that are economically distressed and historically underrepresented. And we use a public bank to do that today, right? To talk about reparations today. right, to figure out what earned income tax credits look like, what expansion of child tax credits look like, and put them in communities where people need it the most.
Mikey Sherrill.
50-year-old plan to address historic redlining and build affordable housing, and now we have some of the most segregated school districts in the nation, and we don't have enough affordable housing. And we have segregated school districts because we have segregated neighborhoods. That disparity study, it gives us the data we need to show that this isn't working. We also need to push into small businesses. They can't get loans from banks. Banks will not invest in certain neighborhoods and with certain business owners. So my Attorney General would investigate that. I think the key to generational wealth in so many cases is home ownership. We have got to make that accessible to people. And the reason I say this is key to the Black community is because we know that only 30% of the Black community owns their home. So apartments aren't going to cut it. Without the ability to start to invest in and own that home, it is going to be very difficult to build generational wealth. That's why I want to build more homes, drive the cost down, push in programs for first-time home buyers, help with that down payment so we can get more Black families into homes.
Steve Sweeney.
Listen, the diversity study wasn't forced on us. I was proud to pass it with late Senator Ron Rice. The frustration is that we had to do a study to prove what we knew what was wrong. Go back to 2015, it's the same system. Procurement is broke in New Jersey. So we did a study to put it in front of everyone. We had a big problem with small minority contractors. I'm in construction. One of the biggest problems for minority contractors is bonding. So you know what we did? We created a pool, a bonding pool, so small business, minority-owned businesses could get the bonding to be able to participate on the job. Housing's too expensive. Too many people are being delayed the opportunity to start accumulating wealth because they can't afford a house. Help young people get, first-time home buyers get larger credits so they can afford the mortgage to get in the house, so they can start accumulating the wealth, because it's not okay what's going on right now.
Watch my next video for their answers on police use of force. And don't forget, repost this post so all of New Jersey can see.